page 30, Grand Central Station. On pages 28 and 29, they cover the G major and E minor keys. G major and E minor are related. The key signature for each of these is 1 sharp, F sharp. I would prefer you go my scale video on G major and learn it. If you know the G major scale, do it 2 octaves up and down. I explain it all in the video. Same thing with E minor. Do the E minor scale also. Then the chords, you need to know the primary chords, and the inversions, they'll come. I've never been a big pusher on inversions. Learn the inversions. They come. Just know what the chords are. So in G major, the 1 chord, 4 chord, which is a C chord, huh? 5/7 chord, D7 chord, and for E minor, same thing. 1 chord, 4 chord, 5/7 chord. Know the primary chords. That's fine. As far as whether you do them as blocked or broken or whatever the music needs, that's good enough. Now for Grand Central Station, let's talk about this. 4/4 time. It's in the key of G major. Lots of 8th notes. Let's take this one hand at a time. Make sure we got the fingering and the rhythm and all that. Right hand is starting here. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. You see there's a tied note in there? And again, these tied notes confuse some people. Well, if it does, just take out the tie and play all the notes. 1 and 2. Like so, and then when you get a handle on that, put the tie back in. You just hang on to the note rather than playing it again. Like so. Then going on, during the rest you come up to this position. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. On a measure 4, that little grace note, I'll come back to that. Leave it out right now. Just 3rd finger and cross over F natural. So it's 1 and 2 and 3, and during the rest come down. 3, 2. This puts us in position for the next measure. Here. So again, measure 4. It's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and. So it's on the and of 2. The 8th rest is on 2. 1 and 2 and 3, and that's next measure is octave. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Then your rest, you come up 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. There's a lot of tied notes in this. So it's, again, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then during the rest come down 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. You're back to what you were doing at the beginning. Goodness sake. Let's go over to page 31 at the top. Measure 10. You're here, and then you come up here, and then thumb. This is, again, using multiple fingers on repeated notes is no big deal, I hope. So we need to do this, and we need to get good at it. So in measure 11, you're 1 and 2 and 3 and. You just the B flat and an F natural, and then measure 13, B natural here, F sharp, 1 and 2. Try and get these notes down at the same time if you can. I'm not real good at it, but you know, going on. And then thumb, that's a D, that top note, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now let's look at measure 16. The fingering, I don't care for the fingering here at all. They got this. 3, 2, 1. I just don't like a 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Sometimes you have to. So I suggest this fingering. 1. Instead of 3, use 4. That way I get that whole sequence of that scale going down in one hand movement. And then for the next measure, you just 2, because you want an 8, your thumb on that, so you can use 2 there. And it works out very nicely. So on the 6/8 time, now an eighth note gets a count. However, when you have time signatures changing like this, because we were in 4/4 and now we're in 6/8, and you say, how do you put those together? Well, that's a good question. You have to find some common denominator, some common link that links them together, something in common. And in this case, it's eighth notes. We got eighth notes all over everywhere. So what we're going to do is the speed of the eighth note remains the same. So in measure 16, it's 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So when we get to the 6/8 time, we simply keep that same tempo for eighth notes, except now we're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, but the eighth note speed remains the same. So again, at measure 16 going on, it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the eighth notes are the same. Then measure 19, it goes back into 4/4 time. 1 and 2. But the eighth note is constant. The speed of it is constant. Just the counting changes. And you're only counting at the beginning to get the rhythm. Once you get it, you feel it. So it's... And same thing in the next line. On measure 21, it says keep the eighth notes constant speed. So, and that's how that works. I went a little fast, but the idea is once you get the rhythm, you start feeling it. And I'm hoping you can figure these rhythms out yourself and not waiting for me or somebody else to show you what they are. It's really important as part of this education thing we're going on for you to learn to do this yourself. I recently had a comment on another video about, they said it would really help me out if you could just play the thing for me. And I responded back and I said, sorry, I don't teach that way. See, the point is, you don't really learn to read music. You don't learn to do the music on your own. All you can do is play what you've heard somebody else play first. Can you imagine the problem we would have if that was the normal routine, where the composer, whoever it is, would be required to play their own music first so everybody else could hear it? Because in many cases, the composer doesn't necessarily perform their own music all that well. Other people perform it much better. And in some cases, the composer writes things for like a violin or a cello, and they don't play violin or cello. There's no way they can play it. So the idea is, learn to read the music and use your own ability and your own music. You learn this over time, and you make it yours. There, that's my rant on that. Now, back to the show in progress. Last two measures, you're here, 1 and 2, and then they want a 5 again. Well, you can get away with it because they're pedaling it. But this business of is, you have to do that in some like Liszt or Chopin. They have to make you do that. You cross over the 5th. Because you can cross over the 5th. It is possible. It's a bit of a stretch, but you can. If you relax the thumb, you can. However, another fingering you can use here, if you don't want to do that, is this one. Here, rather than thumb, reach down, second finger, and thumb. And then you cross the third finger over. And there you're just crossing third finger over the thumb. I find that a little easier, so I recommend you try that if you want. Left hand, 4/2 here, and then F natural, and then that next one is an E, a B, and a D. And next line, E flat, D flat, just come on down. Both notes are black keys, so it's alright. And then you one beat rest to come down here. 1 and 2 and both are coming down. Same rhythm as the right hand. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 4, and then an E flat and 2. You can use 5-1 for all these, is fine. And then octave at 7. And then next measure is a D, A, C, and then back to the 4-2, like you were doing at the beginning. And then the last measure at the bottom of page 31, that is simply octave G's. Because that bottom note is below the 3rd ledger line. You have to figure it out. 1 ledger line below the bass clef is an E here. 2 ledger lines is a C, you should know that. 3 ledger lines is an A, you really should know that too. And that's just under it, makes it a G. They're octave G's. Okay. Put the hands together. Now this should be interesting. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Lift up on 4 here on the right hand. You got to move up. Just make sure you don't lift up in the left hand, because that's a whole note. And connect that, but you got to lift up in the left hand to change chords, but connect the right hand. Right there. When I play the E, the left hand comes up. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4. There's a rest in the left hand. Make sure you play the rest. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. And we're back to what we were doing at the beginning. Let's go over to page 31, 3rd line down, measure 16 here. The left hand's tied from the measure before, and the right hand is 1 and 2 and 3. Now right when I play that F sharp, the left hand comes up, because it's just a half note. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 and... Remember that? That's left hand's tied there. It's not quite the same as it was at the beginning. And then going on, you're here. Now, that's a dotted half note. Lift it up when you play the A. Right there. That's tricky. Take your time with this, and you may just want to concentrate on a few measures at a time. Just go over it and over and over until you get those few measures. See, when you get a longer piece, that's a challenge. You break it down into bits, and you work on the bits, and then you put the bits together and you got your piece again. Don't try and just do it all at once. It's kind of a mistake. Then we can put in the articulation and that little grace note. It's just lift up between each of these slurs. Sometimes they give you rest, so that helps. And the left hand, you play it as connected as you can. You can't because they're chords, but do what you can. And this little grace note, real quick. There are different ways of interpreting grace notes, and people don't agree. So no matter how you do it, somebody's going to disagree with you. Some people will play that little grace note right before the beat, so that the B flat comes with the left hand. Some people will play the little grace note on the beat, so it comes with the left hand. That can also be called an appoggiatura. I won't get into the other names. We're just talking little grace notes here. It's just a real quick note. How you play it is between you and your teacher. I was taught in college to do them on the beat, so I'm going to do it with the left hand. So that's how I do it. You do it as you see fit. So that, and then going on, staccato. You got an accent measure 7. Accent. So forth. On page 31, on measure 15, you're up here, you have an accent. And then you have an accent on the first beat and the fourth beat. In the right hand, not the left. Again, at accent measure 21. And then an accent at the bottom, the next to last measure. Yeah. There's also a retardando there, you can slow down. How much you slow down, you have to feel it. I don't know how much, you just slow down. Don't confuse me with details. Then dynamics, well, that's the melody. Whatever you think moderately soft is, you keep the left hand in the background. And then at the end of the line there, you're going to crescendo up to moderately loud. So you can be moderately loud in the last measure there that's measure 3. You can crescendo. To me, it's moderately loud, and you're just staying there. Now you're going to go up to loud. Mainly the right hand, but both hands can do this because they're just chords. And then 7, it's the right hand that's loud. It makes the accented note a very loud note. Then come down to moderately soft, like you were at the beginning. Then go up. That didn't say how much to go up. Go up to about moderately loud there. This is measure 11. You're moderately loud here, and then you go up to loud there in the last measure here. Really, you're loud there. And that's the right hand that's loud. And then you're going to go all the way down to soft. Start it loud. So it's like each beat just go down a little bit. Loud, moderately soft, just whatever. It's just... You start this soft, and you're going to go up to moderately loud. So it's a ba, ba. And back down. Remember the accent. And again. And you're going to crescendo here at the end. You're going back up to loud and slowing down. I don't know why, but you do. So measure 23, you're still moderately soft. Now, so you sort of starting this just a hair above moderately soft. I haven't crescendoed much. I want to save most of my crescendo toward the end of that measure. So it's here. It's an accent. So that's where I'm going up to loud. Keep the left hand in the background. It's too easy for these low notes to drown out the other notes. And you get that. We don't want that. Keep the left hand in the background. Speed-wise, you gotta get to know it and get the feel in it. And it has to be accurate. The 8th note's gotta be even. A lot of gots tos here. So whatever you think middle is, mid-range, somewhere, I think about where I played it. It's not the beat that we're talking about, where it's the flow of the piece. What is sort of in the middle? Then on top of all that, they've added pedal in a few spots. You don't need pedal. You can play it just fine without. But okay, let's take a look and see what the pedal does to this. I'm going to push the pedal down right after I play the notes. And it's going to be overlapping pedal when I'm over on page 31 and third line. At measure 17, that's overlapping pedal. Otherwise, there's not too much overlapping. They're showing you, because you got to lift the pedal up with a staccato note so you don't get a staccato note. So on measure 5 is where it starts. I'm going to push, the staccato doesn't get a pedal. I'm going to push it down right after I play the next note. I'm going to lift it up when I play the next staccato note. And then on measure 7 I can overlap it, so I'm going to play the left hand first and then change the pedal. I'm going to lift the pedal up with the left hand. I don't like that. I would prefer to lift the pedal up so I don't smear this. I don't want to smear that. So I'm going to lift the pedal up here, I think, maybe when I play the C. Right there, I think would be better. Then you don't use the pedal again until you get to the top of page 31 on measure 11, and I don't understand why they want the pedal here. Because if I do it the way they're showing these measures, this is what it sounds like. Starting at the beginning of that page, measures 10. To me, that smears it. I don't like that at all. So I would recommend you just don't pedal that. If you want a pedal to connect the left hand chords, you can do that. But what you do is you push the pedal down right before you change chords, just for an instant. All you're doing is connecting, it says, so that measure 11. That silence. At measure 13, this pedal you can connect it. This. And I wouldn't pedal any of this because if I do, it smears it. It's a difference of sound. You have to decide the sound you like, with the effect you like. If you like that effect, go for it. I'm sure the reason they're pedaling this is because it's loud, and they want the overtones when it's loud. Bring it in, bring it in. I just don't like the smearness, so I can play it loud without it. And this 6/8 time is fine. That's a nice effect. You're changing it with the harmony. But on 19 and 20, I wouldn't pedal that. But go ahead and pedal the 6/8. And at the bottom, I wouldn't pedal any of that. I don't want to smear it. You can pedal the last chord there to add color to it. So I disagree with their pedaling here. However, keep in mind, pedaling is just suggestion. Anything I say is a suggestion. The stuff in the book is a suggestion. Your teacher may have other ideas on pedaling. That's fine. Ultimately, it's up to you and what you like to hear. Well, that means you got to learn to hear different things and judge different things. And otherwise, you could just pedal it on, don't worry about it. It sounds terrible to me, but other people might not care. I don't know. It's a personal thing. I'd like to play this with you very slowly to double check the notes and the rhythms. Not going to do the dynamics. I will do the pedaling as I think it should be done. So I'll give us 4 counts. Now let's play it together slowly. 1 and 2 and ready and go and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 4 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 4. 3 and 4 and 3 and 4 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2.